Okay, we're going to go live now. Thanks for watching this if you're here live or later. And today's topic is all about long COVID and linking it to autoimmune. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the data on the vaccine as well, which ties in with it as well. So coming up, specifically I'm going to talk about Hashimoto's and Graves' links. Some research there which is showing the link with long COVID, and then I'm going to talk about the autoimmune link in general and explain a little bit about that with the data. And then what about the vaccines? So here we are in 2026. What does the research say about the vaccine link? And of course you're maybe struggling with long COVID, you've got the symptoms with that or the autoimmune, and you're curious what some solutions you can do. I'll cover that as well. So let's get straight into it. So on the screen over here, I've got one article, and this is looking at the long COVID and the anti-TPO positive autoantibodies. And that what that means is a very long title there, but basically what it means is developing autoimmune antibodies in your tissue which indicate autoimmune thyroid issues. This one was done in October 2024, so a little oldish, but it has some quite valuable information in there. So I've highlighted a couple of areas. So long COVID or post-acute progression of COVID-19 is characterized by extreme complex symptoms and pathology. That's really key. Like, it is complex, isn't it? If you know someone with long COVID or autoimmunity, but specific long COVID, you know doctors are not diagnosing it right, or it involves so many symptoms. It is quite complex, and it's different for each individual as well. Person A might get certain characteristics with cardiovascular, and person B might get completely opposite. Or different systems. The long COVID or convalescence control groups, so they had two groups they're comparing, those that have persistent long COVID and those that have recovered, and then comparing what are the autoantibodies for the thyroid coming up in the blood, and an average of 21 months after booster vaccination. Now this is something that I wanted to highlight and then touch on later. Like, there's a lot of discussion now with the side effects of the vaccination, but this one is particular. All of the individuals in the study had been vaccinated. They were, I believe, nurses, and I'll just bring up this chart in the article. So this is a timeline date, 2020. We all know what that year was. 2021. Now this blue area in January, February, March was when they had their first vaccination, and then they had their booster after, and then this red is when the study got done and they had the blood draw, and this is what's happened this time after, what's happening with their autoimmune markers. So this particular article is it's calling it COVID infection, but we don't know, could have it been that thing, or could have it been the COVID? We'll see as time goes on and more data comes out. However, so this discussion, however, results do not exclude the possibility of new onset thyroid autoimmunity after COVID-19, and further investigation is required. That's always said in studies. Now, this one here, this next research paper is April 2025, and it's broad spectrum autoimmunity with long COVID, in long COVID. Now, I just highlighted here, 10% of people recovering from infection will develop some autoimmunity, which is quite high. And this concept I want to explain as being not a new concept. It's called molecular mimicry, and it's very widely understood with other autoimmune conditions. So back 25 years helping patients with autoimmunity, we knew about the molecular mimicry. It's not new. And it's quite common. Glandular fever is one linked to thyroid issues. and how long COVID comes about, SARS-CoV-2, is the focus on that, or is it just another pathogen or toxin or whatever it is that you want to deal with, and the effects of that? Now, just this image here, and I'll come back to the article. Now, just in this image in the article, molecular mimicry is when the virus is going into the tissue and your body's getting confused with what that is and making antibodies against that and attacking that tissue. That's what's happening in autoimmunity. This little diagram here is perfect summary. So chronic infection, delayed viral clearance. This is why some people have no issues. They're clearing out the virus, they've got a good immune response, and their infection doesn't last very long. Now, chronic infection, they could have multiple things, and always looking at a holistic picture is the key, not honing into just the COVID only, but could they have co-infections? Could they have fungal loads or low immunity, or even toxicity or microbiome issues? This is really key with that holistic naturopathic functional medicine overview. So chronic infections going on, the COVID happens, there's a delayed viral clearance, and then molecular mimicry happens. Molecular mimicry is the underlying issues with autoimmunity. And just here I've highlighted, just to highlight that concept, the best documented examples of this phenomenon are multiple sclerosis and EBV, that's glandular fever. That is well known to be linked to multiple sclerosis. Individuals with glandular fever, Epstein-Barr virus, are 30 times more likely to develop MS. That's quite scary. But anyway, long COVID, is it a new thing? Should we stress out? And even with that that vaccination, which we were told has no connection at all, let's not focus on that. Let's look at solutions, and let's look at getting better. And if we think of old strategies that work with that traditional medicine holistic overview, let's use a lot of those to get better. And that's what I'm doing with patients. So the role of innate immunity, great topic, I love this, but thinking about bypassing the innate immunity, saliva and mucous membranes, etc. And what is that role when you have those things coming in this way, or on your skin break, or injecting it via all of that? That's another video for another time. And I think that was so autoimmunity and long COVID. I think this is the last bit I highlighted, is only beginning to be investigated. That's always the way. More and more data is getting with a spotlight on that. Now the next bit, I just wanted to tie in with the vaccination. So this mystery of autoimmunity, long COVID and vaccination does tie together. There are a lot of common symptoms with the brain fog, cardiovascular, inflammation, cognitive decline, etc. So this one was back in 2022. 2022, I would get banned from posting on social media or even this platform here, and by misinformation. But the data was there, the research was there. Long post-COVID vaccination syndrome, it is an increasing recognized disease that occurs after SARS-CoV-2 vaccination and lasts more than 4 weeks. It's not only short-term, but also long-term side effects. This information was available 2022. We'll jump forward. Mental symptoms in post-COVID syndrome and post-COVID-19 vaccination syndrome. This one's 2025 August. Mental symptoms are to do with the fatigue, the concentration, brain fog. This is what I'm hearing a lot of, the brain fog and difficulty thinking and anxiety and sleep disorders. And this article is particularly talking about the mental symptoms related to that. Now there's another one here. This is the latest, March 2026. So we're in April. We're still in March. It's only just published. So this is a Japanese one, and they're collecting a database of symptoms of these issues. Now, multi-systematic symptoms developing after the immunization. So just characterizing the different areas and the complexity of it, which you may be experiencing, is general disorders, roughly 30%, nervous system disorders, 22.3%, musculoskeletal disorders, 10%, and there's those events of fatigue, brain fog, dizziness, and extremities as well, lasting more than a year, but it can be less as well. 29.4% unresolved, that's huge. And you're probably watching this yourself or someone that you know with these symptoms and wondering how to get their help. Now, let's talk about solutions. So solutions are, I've discussed in other videos, but if we're really to get good results, we need to individualize your plan. Are you young? Are you in your 20s or are you in your 60s? Even sex, predisposition for things, genetic, how's your diet, how's your microbiome? If you're able to jot down a timeline for you and put things of operations you've had, certain weaknesses in your digestive, maybe you've had infections or previous treatment, you've had your appendix out, or maybe you've had a consistent thread of sleep disorders. If we're to use the holistic model, it compounds. So these things predisposition, and then the compounding, and then you get the final thing, the vaccination, the COVID vaccination, or the infection, and then that just pushes you down, and then cascade of things to cause excessive inflammation, histamine, weakening microbiome, which give you the symptoms. And then we are here, right here. So what are the things, absolute basic, without knowing you, what I could recommend? Hopefully you're doing it. N-acetylcysteine is a must. Things like quercetin, curcuminoids, high dose curcuminoids to reduce the inflammation, and really looking at things like autoimmune diet. Now, back 25 years ago of helping patients with autoimmunity still haven't changed. We'd look at the microbiome, we'd look at autoimmune diets to reduce the inflammation and resetting, and a big focus on modulating the immune system with herbs. Herbs are so wonderful, and unfortunately the current medical system, and I'm sure if you've been to the doctor, they wouldn't even dream of looking at herbs with their multiple actions, and this has got a lot of power to help patients. Now, I think that's the extras that you could do if you're not already doing them, but then individualizing your specific plan. Look at your timeline and what areas could you focus on in your past history. What are your weaknesses that were already there that are just possibly getting worse? Now I'll add another video up here for you to carry on, because there's a video I did with a one pill, one solution, and it highlights the importance of not looking at that one pill and looking at the holistic. So carry on over this one, I'll add it later, and watch that to continue learning and getting help for your symptoms. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.